I knew something was off when the coffee mug wasn't in the sink. Yeah, weird place to start, right? But after 12 years of marriage, you start to notice the patterns, the way your wife always leaves her lipstick-stained mug next to the faucet because she doesn't like doing dishes before work. Except Tuesday morning, it wasn't there. No, I'm not a jealous man. Suspicious? Occasionally. But obsessive? No. I just noticed things. And that morning, something in my gut whispered, something's different. Not louder. Not panicked. Just different. It wasn't the coffee. It wasn't the silence. It was the calm before a storm I didn't know was heading straight for me at 120 miles per hour in a convertible I paid for. The second clue came when I checked her location on the Find My app. Don't judge me. It was something we both agreed on after her car got broken into last year. But that morning, instead of her usual commute, she was pinging near a hotel downtown. The kind with valet parking and conference rooms that smell like ambition and infidelity. I called her. No answer. Okay. Maybe she's in a meeting. Maybe she dropped her phone. Maybe monkeys flew out of her purse and rewired the GPS. But by noon, the whispers in my gut turned into a slow, sick certainty. So, I did something I never thought I'd do. I left work early. Now, let me make one thing clear. I wasn't storming in there to catch her in the act. I wasn't that guy. I was the let's be civil guy. The guy who believed in grace, even if I was being served betrayal for lunch. But what I found, that was the appetizer. Because the man she was with wasn't just any man. He was my best friend. I parked across the street from the Wyndham, sleek glass building with the kind of revolving door that spins you into financial ruin if you stand too close. I sat there, engine humming, watching people filter in and out with their little wheeled luggage and their big, confident lies. I didn't rush in. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was curious. There's a fine line between heartbreak and curiosity. Mine was tiptoeing it in steel-toe boots. I texted her again. Everything okay? Need anything? No response. I stepped out of the car and crossed the street. The valet gave me a polite nod, probably pegged me as another mid-level executive late to a conference or early to an affair. I walked through the revolving door like a man entering the courtroom of his own life. I didn't ask the front desk anything. I didn't need to. I already knew where she was because last Christmas, in a fit of sentimental genius, I booked us a staycation here, and we'd used the same room, or room 708. Guess nostalgia really is a killer. I took the elevator up. Heartbeat even. Breath steady. The ding at the 7th floor landed like a gavel. The hallway was empty, except for a maid cart and a faint whiff of lavender cleaner trying to mask human behavior. I stopped in front of the door. I knocked once. Silence. Then some shuffling. Then a voice. Not hers. Who is it? Deep. Male. Familiar in the worst possible way. My stomach dropped like an elevator without brakes. I didn't answer. I just waited. The door cracked open, chain still on, and there he was, smug as ever. Trevor. My best friend since sophomore year. The guy who helped me move 3 times. The guy who gave the toast at my wedding. The guy who was, apparently, inside my marriage. Oh, he said. Like he'd bumped into me at a grocery store instead of getting caught with my wife. I didn't say anything. I just stared. Right through him. Like if I focused hard enough, I could erase him from the planet. Behind him, I heard her voice. Who is it? Trev? Trev. Oh, so we're using nicknames now? He started to close the door. Not slam it. Just shut it slowly, like he was ashamed, but not enough to act like it. So I said the first and only thing that came to mind. Tell her she left her mug in the sink. I turned, walked away, and let that silence sit in the room with them like an unwelcome guest. I didn't need to yell. Didn't need to break anything. Because that was the moment I knew I wasn't losing my wife. I was finally seeing who she really was. 3 days. That's how long it took before she showed up at the house. I hadn't called. Hadn't texted. Hadn't changed the locks, either. Not because I was holding on, because I wanted her to walk through that door and see what silence looks like after the storm hits. She didn't use her key. She knocked. Progress. I answered, drink in hand, not whiskey, just lemonade. I wanted to be clear-headed for what was coming. She stood there, sunglasses on, hair pulled back, like she was ready for a courtroom sketch. Behind her was the black BMW she swore wasn't in our budget last year. Can we talk? She asked. I took a sip. You've got 5 minutes. You want to do this inside? She glanced past me, like the house might jump out and accuse her of something. Backyard. Of course. Public. Open. No knives in arm's reach. I led her around back, where the grass was freshly mowed, The patio chairs were set out, and our dog, who only growled at 2 people in his life, eyed her like he'd joined the jury. We sat. So, I said, leaning back. Trevor, huh? She winced. I didn't mean for it to happen. Don't insult me. That's worse than the cheating. Just say you meant it. You thought I wouldn't notice. Or care. Or you thought I'd roll over and make space in the bed. Silence. Then, I was lonely. I nearly laughed. You're not allowed to say that when someone loves you and lives in the same house. You've been distant, she continued. Work. Your routines. You stopped complimenting me. You stopped noticing me. So you noticed someone else. Her eyes welled up. The tears weren't for me, they were for her. That was the hardest part. I'd seen her cry at Pixar movies. I'd seen her cry at weddings. But not once, in that moment, did I believe she was crying for what she did to me. I want to try and fix this, she said, almost whispering. I shook my head slowly. You didn't break a plate. You burned the whole kitchen down. More silence. You're right, she said finally. You deserve someone who actually tries. I didn't respond. Because in that moment, I knew we weren't discussing reconciliation. We were signing an emotional death certificate. Take your things, I said quietly. What you came with. Nothing else. Don't make this messier than it already is. And just like that, the backyard summit ended. No peace treaty. No handshake. Just the final draft of goodbye floating in the air like summer dust. Trevor called me 2 weeks after the backyard summit. I didn't answer. He called again the next day, then sent a text that just said, I need to talk. Just us. I read it 3 times. The irony wasn't lost on me, just us, like we were still those 2 college kids splitting a pizza and arguing about who would marry first. Like I hadn't just watched him walk out of a hotel room wearing my trust like a cheap cologne. Still, curiosity's a hell of a drug. We met at the driving range. Neutral ground. Wide open space. Nothing sharp nearby. He stood by the buckets of balls in a polo shirt and sunglasses, looking like he was auditioning for an apology-themed cologne ad. I walked up with my own bucket. No handshake. No words. Just a slow nod that said, say your piece. Quickly. He cleared his throat, tried to smile. I didn't. Thanks for coming, man. I didn't say anything. I just teed up a ball and cracked it so hard it made the old guy 3 spots over flinch. I deserve that, Trevor muttered. That was for the ball, I said, coolly. He nodded. Okay, fair. We hit a few more. Silence was our only companion, and I was fine with that. Eventually, he stopped mid-swing and faced me. I didn't mean to fall for her. Classic. I raised an eyebrow. Is that what this is? Love. He looked down. I don't know. It started simple. Conversations. Jokes. Shared frustrations. With me. Yes, he said quietly. There it was. The open wound. I turned to face him fully. You were my best man, Trevor. My brother in everything but blood. You held the ring, made the toast, said those dumb lines about how jealous you were of our love. He winced. I was jealous. Oh, I know, I said, voice dropping to a dangerous calm. Jealous enough to wait 12 years. Bide your time. Then slide into my marriage like it was a lease up for renewal. Trevor shook his head. It wasn't like that. No? Then tell me. Explain it. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you wanted what I had, and when you couldn't build it yourself, you just waited until I blinked. He sighed. I messed up. No. See, spilling coffee is a mess up. Sleeping with your best friend's wife? That's a demolition job. The driving range fell silent between us. Just the distant thwack of other golfers hitting cleaner shots than either of us. You know the worst part? I said finally, voice low. She made me think I was boring. Predictable. Unlovable. She said that. His voice cracked a little. She didn't have to. You both said it with your actions. Trevor dropped his club. It hit the mat with a soft clunk, like even it didn't want to be part of this. She told me things, he said. Said you were distant. Cold. That she felt invisible. And instead of telling her to talk to me, you unzipped your conscience and dove in. I'm sorry. I don't care. He looked up, surprised. What? I don't care if you're sorry, Trevor. I don't care if you're in love, or if you're haunted by guilt every time you see a wedding ring. I'm not here for closure, or a hug, or some romantic epiphany. Then why come? I stared at him. Because I wanted to see the look in your eyes when you realized what you've actually done. He blinked. Witches. You didn't just betray me. You torched your own name. You lost the right to be at my table, in my house, or anywhere near the man I used to be. He swallowed hard. I miss you, man. Too bad. I'm still here. You're the one who walked out. Trevor stepped back, shook his head like he was shaking off the weight of truth. She's not who I thought she was, he said softly. I tilted my head. Oh, so you finally met the real her. How's that been? She lies. She manipulates. She twists stories. Said you cheated on her years ago. I laughed. Not loud. Not bitter. Just a single laugh full of pity and irony. Trevor, I said, did it never occur to you that if she'd lie to me, she'd lie to you too? He didn't answer. You know what your real mistake was? I continued. It wasn't sleeping with her. It was thinking you were the exception to the rule. He looked hollow now, like someone had finally pulled the plug on his confidence. I finished my bucket, one clean hit at a time. Then I turned to leave. Wait, he said, can we ever? No, I interrupted. That version of us died in room 708. I walked away, not with rage, not with bitterness, but with the calm of a man who's done collecting apologies from people who only feel sorry once the damage is irreversible. And somewhere behind me, Trevor stood with his driver still in hand, surrounded by empty promises and unsaid regrets. If betrayal was a crime, lawyers would be the cleanup crew. Suits, briefcases, polite smiles, they show up after the emotional bloodbath and start drawing lines around the mess. That's where I found myself, on the stiff leather couch in my divorce attorney's office, surrounded by legal pads and sanitized empathy. Her name was Claire Devlin. Sharp jawline, sharper mind. She looked like someone who could dismantle your financial history with one eyebrow raise. Do you want to fight dirty? She asked without looking up from her notes. Or do you want to win? I raised my coffee cup, no sugar, no cream, just black, and said, is it too much to ask for both? She smirked. Good. Because the woman you're divorcing has already hired a man I went up against twice. Once in court, once in law school. Beat him both times. Is that supposed to make me feel better? No, she said, finally looking up. It's supposed to make her nervous. Claire didn't ask for all the gory details. Just the essentials: timeline, assets, proof. I handed over a USB drive labeled, just in case, filled with screenshots, bank records, and enough digital breadcrumbs to lead Hansel and Gretel to the truth. She doesn't know I kept any of this, I said, sliding it across her desk. Claire plugged it in and began clicking through files with the speed of a woman who's seen every kind of deception behind a gold wedding band. Her eyebrows didn't flinch, but I could tell by the way her pen tapped her notepad, she'd found enough ammunition to turn this into a legal war. She's going to want the house, Claire said. She can want it. Retirement accounts? Split down the middle. I'm not greedy, just fair. She's probably going to bring up emotional distress. She's dating my best friend. I could argue temporary insanity and get a standing ovation. Claire smiled without showing teeth. You've got leverage. That's rare in these situations. Outside, the clouds hung heavy, like even the sky had an opinion about this marriage. Claire tapped a key and turned the screen toward me. This one, she said. Email from your wife to Trevor, dated 3 weeks before you found out. Subject line, you'll be free soon. She outlines plans to blindside you, stage a confrontation, and use your reaction as proof of emotional cruelty. I stared at the screen. There it was in writing. My life strategically dismantled in an inbox thread. She wanted me to snap, I said quietly. Which you didn't. You walked away. From them, sure. From the pain? Still working on that. Claire leaned forward. Pain doesn't get a vote in this. Logic does. And right now, logic says we hit back fast and hard. We finished the meeting in under an hour. Paperwork was drafted. A process server was already on retainer. Claire would file by morning. That night, I sat in my kitchen, my half of the house, my chair, my dog sleeping at my feet, and read every word of the petition. And I laughed. Not because anything was funny, but because the cover letter began with, to Ashley Monroe, hereafter referred to as respondent. That was it. The day she stopped being my wife and started being a respondent in a legal case. I sipped my coffee and watched a drop slide down the side of the mug, the same mug she once bought me on a road trip, some touristy thing that said, "World's okayest husband." Funny at the time. Now? A souvenir from a joke I wasn't in on. The next morning, Claire called. She's been served, she said flatly. How'd she take it? You'll appreciate this. She threw the papers at the process server and screamed, "This is beneath me." Well, and here I was worried she'd lost her sense of irony. She'll lawyer up fast. Be ready. Always. That weekend, I boxed up her things. Every sweater she never wore, every book she never finished, and every photo where I was smiling and she was somewhere else, mentally, emotionally, maybe even physically. I found a scarf she once claimed she lost. It still smelled like her perfume, the same one Trevor once gave her on her birthday, back when it was a group gift, and I naively believed that meant we were all just close friends. I didn't cry. I packed it like it was evidence. Monday morning, she called. I got the papers, she said. So I heard. You didn't even try to talk to me. I did. At the hotel. At the backyard. At the altar, come to think of it. That's not fair. Neither was you making out with my best friend in a hotel room we once celebrated our anniversary in. Silence. Then, so that's it. Unless you want to negotiate who gets the ugly painting in the hallway. Click. That was the last time she called. Claire handled the rest. Division of assets. Pet custody. Mediation dates. My dignity, thankfully, required no negotiation. But here's the thing they don't tell you about divorce. It's not the paperwork that breaks you. It's the ghost moments. Walking past the empty side of the closet. Cooking for one. Folding laundry without finding that one sock she always lost. But those moments? They're temporary. Eventually, ghosts stop haunting you when you stop feeding them. And I was done feeding ghosts. 3 months after the papers were served, I got a dinner invitation. Not a text. Not a phone call. An honest-to-God envelope on thick, cream-colored cardstock, like someone was inviting me to a gala instead of a post-mortem autopsy on our marriage. My name was handwritten in cursive on the front, Logan, no last name. Just the man she used to know. Inside was a single card. Dinner? Just us. Neutral ground. Talk. Ashley. There was a time I would have driven across the city just to hear her say, us again. But that man was long gone. He left the moment she whispered Trev through a hotel door. Still, curiosity has a way of pulling you toward fire, even after you've healed from the last burn. I showed up late. Not dramatically late, just enough to make a point. The restaurant was upscale but trying too hard. Edison bulbs, exposed brick, waiters in suspenders. One of those places where the food looks like it's been arranged by someone holding tweezers and a thesaurus. Ashley was already seated, hands folded in her lap, wearing the kind of dress she used to reserve for anniversaries. That was probably intentional. I made sure to wear something she'd never seen before, a crisp black shirt, sleeves rolled, no tie. Let her look at me and realize she didn't know this version. You came, she said, voice soft. You asked, I replied, sitting down. The server appeared like a trained illusionist. She ordered wine. I ordered water. This wasn't a celebration. For a while, we just stared at the menu. Not reading. Just holding the space between us hostage. Then she set hers down. I'm not going to drag this out. I wanted to say, I'm sorry. I waited. For what, exactly? Her eyes flicked up. For everything. For lying. For Trevor. For not leaving sooner, if I was going to betray you anyway. Good start, I said, sipping my water. But let's not forget the character assassination you tried to pull off. Telling people I was cold. Distant. Unfaithful. You weren't unfaithful. No, but that didn't stop the rumors. She closed her eyes for a beat. I panicked. I was afraid people would hate me. I guess I thought if I painted you as the bad guy, it would soften the blow. You were wrong. I know. We were silent again. The server returned with wine. She took a long sip, like she was hoping the stem of the glass might save her from drowning. I was angry at myself, she said. And I blamed you for things you didn't do. It was easier than facing what I'd become. And what's that? She looked at me, eyes glossy. Someone who blew up her own life for something she thought was passion but turned out to be convenience. Trevor wasn't the solution. He was the escape hatch. I raised an eyebrow. So what happened? You two done playing house. She flinched. He moved out last week. I leaned back. Guess I was right. About. That she who cheats with you, cheats on you. Her jaw clenched. He says he still loves me. That he just got scared. And you. I don't love him, she admitted. I don't think I ever did. The food arrived. I didn't remember ordering. Something with salmon and microgreens pretending to be dinner. Neither of us touched it. I've started therapy, she said after a while. Good. Therapy's cheaper than lawyers. She half smiled. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I wanted to face you. Say it out loud. Not because I think we'll ever be anything again, but because you deserve to hear me say it. I nodded slowly. You know what I used to think about? Right after it happened. She looked up. I'd imagine a world where I could have made you happy. If I'd just been more spontaneous. Less predictable. If I'd chased you around the kitchen more. Sent you flowers. Bought that dumb hammock you wanted. Her lip quivered. Logan. But then I realized something, I continued. You never told me you were unhappy. You just let it rot in silence, then handed the mess to Trevor like he was some kind of fixer. I was selfish. You were cowardly, I corrected. You wanted the thrill without the consequences. You wanted to fall and land somewhere soft. You didn't think I'd walk away with my spine intact. She blinked hard, holding back tears. You're not the same man. No, I said. I'm not. The server returned with the check. Ashley reached for it. I beat her to it. Paid in full. Not because she deserved it, but because I wanted to make it clear. This dinner wasn't a date. It was a burial. Outside, the wind was cool. She hugged herself in that way she used to, expecting me to offer my jacket. I didn't. Take care of yourself, she said. I already am. She hesitated. You really don't hate me? No, I said. But I wouldn't waste a match if you were on fire. She laughed once. A small, broken sound. And I walked away. No backward glance. No second thoughts. That dinner wasn't about closure. It was about confirmation. She lost me the moment she mistook my loyalty for laziness. And that kind of mistake? You only make once. You know how every good thriller has that scene where everything seems peaceful, almost too peaceful, right before the twist hits you like a brick through a stained glass window? Yeah, that was my life for the next few weeks. Post-dinner, post-divorce, post-everything, my days settled into something resembling normalcy. I woke up without the tension in my chest. The house, half emptied by the split, now felt more like mine than it ever had. I rearranged the furniture, painted a wall or two, even got a new coffee maker. One with programmable settings. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Every now and then I'd get a text from someone in our old circle. Saw Ashley at the wine bar. She looked rough. You okay? Trevor's trying to get invited to poker night. We told him to lose our numbers. Sympathy. Updates. And a few quiet I told you so's wrapped in concern. I appreciated it, I guess. But it all felt distant. Like they were reporting from a world I no longer belonged to. Then came the envelope. It arrived on a Tuesday. No return address. Just my name on the front in looping, unfamiliar handwriting. I opened it at the kitchen counter, coffee half drunk beside me, toast forgotten in the toaster. Inside was a single photograph. Ashley, Trevor, and a little girl, maybe 5 years old. In the photo, they were in a park. Trevor was holding the girl's hand. Ashley was laughing. The child had Ashley's eyes. On the back, in that same unfamiliar script, were 3 words. You deserve better. I stared at that photo for a long time. Not because I didn't understand it, but because I did. I'd been ready to close the book on this whole miserable chapter. But now the book had another page, one I never wrote, but was expected to read. And I did. Thoroughly. The next day, I made some calls. Discreet ones. A friend from college who owed me a favor, now working in a private investigation firm. Within 48 hours, he had answers. The girl's name was Maya. Age, 6. Mother, Ashley Monroe. Father listed on the birth certificate, unknown. Biological father? Well, here's the punchline, me. Yeah. Turns out, during what I now refer to as the prequel to the betrayal, Ashley had gotten pregnant. She told me it was a false positive, that it was a scare, nothing more. We didn't discuss it further. I believed her, because back then, trust was the currency of our marriage, and I was spending it like it would never run out. She never said a word, never hinted, never asked for help. Just had the child, my child, and then quietly handed her off to Trevor while I walked through life thinking the worst part of the story was over. It wasn't. It had barely started. When I confronted Claire, my lawyer, about it, she blinked slowly and said, "If this is true, you have rights." "No," I said, my voice like frost, "I have wrath. Because here's the thing, betrayal is a wound. But hiding a child from her father? That's something else entirely. That's a blueprint for a slow-burning revenge, the kind that doesn't just end in a slammed door, it ends in an earthquake." I didn't go to Ashley right away. I waited. Watched. I followed Trevor one evening, not out of rage, but curiosity. He'd moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment in a less glamorous part of town. Maya stayed with him sometimes, apparently. Her laugh, her bounce, her tiny backpack with cartoon bears, it all looked so normal. So painfully perfect. And none of it was mine. Except, it was. That weekend, I left a note in his mailbox. No threats. Just a meeting time. A neutral cafe downtown. Public enough to avoid drama, quiet enough to speak truth. Trevor showed up, 5 minutes late and looking like regret in human form. "I figured you'd come eventually," he said, sitting across from me. I slid the photograph across the table. You should have told me. He stared at it. His jaw clenched. I wanted to. Then why didn't you? He looked up, his face pale. Because she begged me not to. Said it would destroy you. Said you'd never forgive her. She was right. He leaned forward, whispering. Logan, I didn't know for sure until Maya was born. She looks like you. She talks like you. She even holds her fork the way you do, like it offended you, and now you're disciplining it. I didn't smile. Do you love her? I asked. Trevor blinked. Of course. She's innocent. She didn't ask for any of this. That was the only thing we agreed on. I'm getting a test, I said. DNA. Legal. Once it's confirmed, I'm filing for custody. He swallowed hard. She doesn't know about you. Then you'd better start thinking about how to explain it. Because the man who raised her as his own just got served. I stood up, my coffee untouched. Logan, Trevor called as I turned to leave. What do you want? I paused at the door. Looked back at the man who used to be my friend. The man who helped bury my marriage, and then tried to bury the truth with it. I want her to know, I said, who her father really is. I left the cafe with one thought echoing louder than the footsteps behind me. The storm hadn't passed. It had just learned how to aim. 2 weeks later, the DNA results came in a plain white envelope, no grand reveal, no dramatic courier delivery. I opened it with the same expression I had when I filed our taxes, calm, prepared, and absolutely certain of what I'd find. 99.98% match. Maya was mine. There was no ceremony. No tears. Just a confirmation that 6 years of my life had been erased from one chapter and scribbled into someone else's. I walked into Claire's office the next morning. She looked up from her desk, already knowing. She's yours, I said. Let's make it legal. You want full custody? I want a relationship. At this point, I want acknowledgement. I'll start with visitation. Claire nodded, already drawing up papers. You understand this won't be a peaceful process. Claire, I said, we passed piece 3 exits ago. We filed the motion. Ashley responded within a week, through her lawyer. No apology. Just deflection. She claimed she didn't want to destabilize Maya's life. That Trevor had been a good father figure. She forgot one detail. He wasn't her father. The court granted temporary supervised visitation. I met Maya in a neutral location, children's playroom, soft colors, a counselor present. She walked in wearing a purple sweater with a cat on it. She looked at me like I was just another adult in a world full of rules. Hi, I said. She blinked up at me. Are you a doctor? Nope. Worse. I'm a grown-up. She giggled. That sound pure, clear, uninfluenced by the wreckage behind her, cut deeper than anything Ashley had ever said. For the next hour, we talked about dinosaurs, cereal, and why she thought clouds were just sky pillows. The counselor said we had a natural rapport. Translation: my daughter didn't know who I was, but she liked me anyway. When I got home that night, I sat on the edge of the bed and finally let myself ask the question I'd been avoiding. What kind of man lets 6 years go by without knowing he has a child? Answer: the kind who trusts the wrong people. Ashley didn't take the custody motion well. She started showing up again, text messages, voicemails, even once at my house, standing at the porch like a memory that wouldn't fade. You're doing this out of revenge, she said. No, I replied. Revenge was the divorce. This is responsibility. You're going to ruin everything she knows. You already did. I'm just cleaning up. She tried to fight me in court, claimed I was emotionally unstable, that I was trying to steal Maya to punish her. But Trevor, to his strange credit, didn't support her. He submitted his own statement to the court, confirmed that she kept Maya a secret from me. He looked tired in the courtroom, like a man who'd tried to build a life out of ashes and now couldn't remember why he started the fire. I sat across from him during one break, silence filling the room like dust. You really loved her, huh? I asked. Trevor looked at me, eyes hollow. I think I loved who I thought she was. I nodded. Yeah, me too. It took 4 months, but the judge finally ruled in my favor. Joint custody. Equal time. Summer breaks. Holidays split. My daughter, my blood, would finally know who I was. Not a shadow in the background. Not a ghost mentioned in whispers. A father. The day I told Maya, she smiled. Cool, she said. Does this mean I get 2 Christmases now? 2, I said, smiling. And double the cake. We sat on a park bench, watching ducks, her tiny fingers wrapped around mine. She didn't know the full truth yet. That could wait. For now, it was enough that she knew I wasn't just some stranger. I was home. Closure doesn't come in one grand scene. It comes in pieces. In the sound of your daughter calling you dad for the first time. In the silence of your phone when your ex finally stops trying to manipulate your narrative. In the peace of knowing you didn't break, you recalibrated. But still, one thing remained. Trevor. I didn't hate him anymore. But I hadn't forgotten. So, I did what any man of principle would do. I sent him a package. Inside was a photo. The original one, the park, the smile, the lie. Along with a note. You spent years chasing what I had. And for a while, you thought you'd won. But now, I have the only thing in that picture that mattered. Her name is Maya. And she'll never call you dad. No threats. No insults. Just facts. The next week, I heard he moved out of town. Ashley, from what I gathered, started seeing someone new. Probably some poor guy who thinks her smile is just charming, not strategic. But that's not my business anymore. As for me, I rebuilt. Slowly. Intentionally. Maya comes over every other week now. Her room's painted blue with stars. She brings her stuffed cat named Mittens and makes me read the same dinosaur book 6 times in a row. I do it, gladly. Because I know what it's like to miss a moment and never get it back. Sometimes I sit on the porch at night, coffee in hand, watching the sky shift colors like it's trying to remember who it used to be. And I smile. Because I'm not the man I was before. I'm better. Harder in all the right places. Softer in the ones that count. They broke the old me. But the man that came out of the rubble? He's bulletproof. And he never, ever, lets someone else hold the pen to his story again.